So, welcome to another video where I will create my own GUI library. So today I will be creating button and slider functionality plus some extra stuff. As you can see in the background, this is the end result of today. What I will do, you can see that the button works and also both of the sliders have their own names. And you can see that in the console. So I started with the button class. So it also inherits from the GUI component, as does the label. I found a script online which allows rounded rectangles, which I think also looks very nice, so I just took that. I also have a button clicked so that when we are holding the left mouse button, we just want to send a response once and not multiple times. Our constructor, obviously there's nothing too special, and all of the virtual functions that we get from the GUI component. So our CPP file, obviously we will start with the constructor. We just set the necessary information, plus we have, since it's a rounded rectangle, we can set the corner radius as well. The text position is centered no matter the size of the button, and that's what this code does. It centers. I don't really know how it works, it just works, which is fine enough. In our update function, first we will check if we are hovering over the current shape, and then we can check if the hover color, if we set the hover color, then we can set the fill color of the shape. Then we can check if we pressed the left mouse button and if our button clicked variable is false. And then same with the press color, and we can just assign button click to true. And if we stop holding the left mouse button, we will set it to false again. Our set color is very similar, but we only set the fill color / outline color to the text. I will change this later so we allow for shape as well. And then the set origin is pretty much the same thing. Then in our render function, it renders both shape and the text. So right now I will have to check in the UI update function every single frame whether the button was pressed or not. Same with, for example, the sliders, if their value has been changed, and so on. This is of course a big no-no, and I had to spend like an entire day implementing callbacks into my code. So I can go just quickly what I did for the programming the callbacks. First, I added a base class that inherits from the GUI component. This class has the callback functionality, and every component that requires some form of callback will inherit from this. So like buttons, sliders, checkbox, and so on. The button inherits from this new class, and then this std string is gonna be our name, right? I will show you later on how this works. So once we press the button, we can check if callback is set, and then we can call it, given it our current name. So later we know that if it's the restart button, home button, and so on. In our header file, we can create a onButtonClicked function with a parameter name. And then we can simply create a new button and give some parameters. As you can see, my name is called restart, and then we can set this callback and give it our function that we're gonna call, which is the onButtonClicked. Then for our onButtonClicked, we can check if name is, for example, restart, and do other stuff from there. And now, as you can see here, if we start, this should work, and yep, as you can see, it restarts. So now we don't have to check this. We don't have to check if the button is clicked every frame in our update function. So now I will create the slider component. So the slider class will also inherit from the same base class as the button, but this class will have a float and a string for the current value and the name. Then we're gonna have 4 floats for keeping track of the current state of the slider, and we're also gonna have 2 rectangle shapes, one for the slider bar and one for the slider button. We will also have the constructors that takes in obviously the minimum value, maximum value, and so on. Then we can give it the virtual functions from our GUI component and a get value function if we just want to know the value at any point in time. For our constructor, we will set obviously the necessary information, but with a little bit of changes, right? So for example, our slide bar will only be 20% of the height that we will give it, so that it looks thinner than a slider button. And our slider button will be 20% more height, but it will just be 10% of the width. So yeah, for our update method, we will make sure that first we are hovering over the slider button, and then we can check if we press the left mouse button, and then we will calculate the current value depending on our mouse position and some other stuff, which I gotta thank ChatGPT for this. I had no clue how to do this, but he came in clutch. So, and also we will have to clamp it between the minimum and maximum. Then the same as the button, we will check if the callback is set, and then if the previous value is not equal to the current value, then we will call this callback, and we can set the previous value as the current value. And then we'll just again set the slider button position. I have no clue where this came from, just ChatGPT knows its stuff. I gotta say, ChatGPT has been very helpful. But yeah, ours render, it will just render the slide bar and the button, and the set color and set origin are pretty much the same, so there's no point in me showing it. And on the UI.h we can have a onSlider value change callback, and as you can see, we can just print out the name of our slider and also the value it has. And I have also already created some of our testing. This is going to be the same thing as we saw in the beginning of this video. I also have a function for creating the slider, but it's the same as with labels and buttons, so there's no point in showing it. And yeah, as you can see, this is exactly what I showed in the beginning of this video. Everything works as it should, and you can see that this name is different and it's giving me different values. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, I don't know, like, and so on.